The Battle of the Gullet has finally arrived, and House of the Dragon Season 3, Episode 1 wastes absolutely no time reminding us why the Dance of the Dragons is remembered as one of the bloodiest and most tragic wars in Westerosi history. For 2 full seasons, the series has been building toward open conflict between the Blacks and the Greens. Every betrayal, every death, every political move, and every dragon rider has been leading to this moment. Yet what makes this premiere so powerful isn't simply the scale of the battle or the spectacle of dragons clashing above burning ships. It's the devastating truth that by the end of the episode, nobody truly feels like a winner. While Team Black may technically emerge victorious, the cost of that victory is so enormous that it completely changes the future of the war. At the beginning of the episode, Rhaenyra Targaryen finds herself in a position she never expected. For the first time since Viserys died, there seems to be a genuine path toward claiming the Iron Throne without turning King's Landing into a field of ash and fire. Alicent's secret visit to Dragonstone has given her hope. Aemond and Vhagar are gone from the capital. Aegon has disappeared. The Greens appear divided and vulnerable. After years of being forced to react to the actions of others, Rhaenyra finally feels as though destiny is moving in her favor. She begins speaking openly about taking King's Landing and fulfilling what she believes is her father's true wish. There is a rare sense of optimism in her voice, something viewers haven't seen in a very long time. But if Game of Thrones has taught us anything, it's that moments of hope are often the most dangerous moments of all. While Rhaenyra dreams about the future, another threat is already moving toward Dragonstone. Long before Alicent ever arrived to negotiate peace, the Greens had been working behind the scenes to strengthen their position. Tywin Lannister and Otto Hightower understood that defeating Rhaenyra would require more than dragons. One of Team Black's greatest strengths has always been the Velaryon fleet. Corlys Velaryon controls the seas around Dragonstone, and his blockade has severely limited the Greens' ability to move resources and supplies. Destroying that blockade has been a priority for months, and now the Triarchy fleet has finally arrived to do exactly that. The appearance of the Triarchy changes everything. Suddenly, the easy path to King's Landing disappears. Instead of launching an offensive against a weakened capital, Team Black must fight to protect its own strategic position. Corlys immediately understands the danger. He has spent his entire life at sea and recognizes that this battle will determine far more than the fate of a few ships. If the Velaryon fleet falls, one of Rhaenyra's most important advantages disappears overnight. That's why he wastes no time preparing for war. Back on Dragonstone, news of the approaching fleet reaches Rhaenyra. Her first instinct is exactly what many viewers would expect. She intends to ride Syrax into battle herself. After all, she is the queen. She is a dragon rider, and she understands how important this battle is. But her son Jacaerys sees things differently. Throughout the series, Jace has gradually evolved from a young prince into a capable leader. He understands that Team Black's entire claim revolves around Rhaenyra. If she dies, the war effectively ends. The Iron Throne becomes nearly impossible to reclaim. That's why he makes one of the most important decisions of his life. In a shocking act of defiance, Jace orders the Queensguard to prevent Rhaenyra from leaving Dragonstone. It's a moment that perfectly captures his growth as a character. He's no longer simply following orders. He's making difficult choices for the greater good. He knows his mother will be furious, but he also knows she's too valuable to risk. Instead, he takes her place and flies into battle himself aboard Vermax. Baela joins him on Moondancer, creating a powerful dragon-riding force that could potentially turn the tide of the conflict. The Battle of the Gullet begins with pure chaos. Warships collide across the sea, ballistae launch massive projectiles through the air. Sailors scream as fire spreads from ship to ship. Above them all, dragons fill the sky. The sheer scale of the battle immediately establishes why it is considered one of the most legendary conflicts in Westerosi history. Unlike many battles we've seen before, this one takes place across multiple levels simultaneously. The fighting happens on the water, in the air, and aboard ships locked together in brutal, close combat. Corlys demonstrates exactly why he earned the title of Sea Snake. Despite the overwhelming pressure, he remains calm and focused. He uses his experience to lure the Triarchy fleet into dangerous positions while coordinating with the dragon riders above. At first, the strategy appears to be working. Vermax and Moondancer unleash devastating attacks from the sky, burning enemy vessels and creating openings for the Velaryon fleet. The Blacks begin gaining momentum, and for a brief period, it looks as though they might secure a decisive victory. Then comes the moment that changes everything. Rhaenyra Targaryen arrives riding Sheepstealer. On the surface, her arrival should be a positive development. Team Black gains another dragon and another rider, but almost immediately it becomes clear that something is wrong. Unlike Vermax, Moondancer, or Syrax, Sheepstealer remains a wild dragon. Claiming him was one thing. Controlling him is something entirely different. Throughout her life, Rhaenyra has struggled with feelings of inadequacy. She watched others form bonds with dragons while she remained on the sidelines. Claiming Sheepstealer was supposed to be her moment of triumph. It was supposed to prove she belonged among the dragon riders of House Targaryen. Instead, it becomes one of the biggest mistakes of the battle. Sheepstealer quickly begins attacking without discrimination. Friendly ships burn alongside enemy vessels. The carefully coordinated strategy collapses into confusion. Nobody knows where the dragon will strike next. The battlefield becomes even more chaotic than before, and suddenly everyone is forced to react instead of execute their plans. This is where Jace's story takes its tragic turn. Initially, he views Sheepstealer as a threat. From a military perspective, eliminating a rogue dragon would be the correct decision. But then he realizes who the rider is. It's Rhaenyra, family, an ally, someone he cares about. In that moment, Jace hesitates. He chooses compassion over aggression. He chooses loyalty over efficiency. And while those qualities make him admirable as a person, they prove fatal in battle. While Jace's attention is focused on Sheepstealer, the Triarchy seizes its opportunity. Vermax is struck and dragged toward the sea. Suddenly, the dragon that had dominated the battlefield finds itself fighting for survival. The scene is heartbreaking because dragons are often portrayed as unstoppable forces of nature. Here, however, we see their vulnerability. Even dragons can be overwhelmed through preparation and numbers. Jace desperately tries to save Vermax. He fights with everything he has. But eventually, reality becomes unavoidable. The dragon cannot be saved. Vermax sinks beneath the waves, disappearing into the depths. For many viewers, this moment is almost as painful as Jace's death itself. Dragons are not simply weapons in this world. They are companions, partners, and extensions of the riders who bond with them. Watching Vermax die feels like watching part of Jace die as well. Then comes the moment that will define the episode. Jace survives the fall. For a few brief seconds, there is hope. He reaches the surface. He breathes. It appears possible that he might escape. Then the arrows come. One strikes him. Then another. Then another. There is no dramatic final speech. No heroic last stand. No triumphant sacrifice. Just a young man floating in the water, struck down by enemies who barely understand the significance of the life they are taking. It's a brutally realistic depiction of war. Destiny doesn't matter. Royal blood doesn't matter. Being the heir to the Iron Throne doesn't matter. In war, death can come for anyone. Jacaerys Velaryon is gone. His death instantly transforms the meaning of the entire battle. Until that moment, viewers are focused on tactics, strategy, and victory. Suddenly, none of that feels important anymore. What matters is the loss. What matters is the future that has been erased. Jace wasn't just Rhaenyra's son. He was her heir. He was the bridge between the present and the future. He represented stability for Team Black and hope for what would come after the war. Losing him creates a wound that cannot simply be repaired with another victory. The tragedy becomes even more complicated when considering Rhaenyra's role in the events. Technically, she didn't kill Jace, the Triarchy did. The arrows belonged to enemy soldiers. Yet it's impossible to ignore the chain of events that led to his death. Sheepstealer's uncontrollable behavior created the confusion. Jace's recognition of Rhaenyra caused him to hesitate. That hesitation left Vermax vulnerable. Without those moments, the battle may have ended very differently. Whether other characters learn the full truth remains to be seen. But if they do, the emotional consequences could be devastating. Rhaenyra has already experienced the unimaginable pain of losing a child. Now she has lost another. Grief rarely produces rational decisions, especially among Targaryens. History has repeatedly shown that personal loss can reshape entire kingdoms. Meanwhile, the rest of the battle continues around the tragedy. Corlys survives one of the greatest tests of his life. Alan proves himself in combat and emerges as one of the battle's true heroes. Shirako Lohar is finally defeated. The Triarchy fleet is shattered and scattered. On paper, these outcomes represent a significant victory for Team Black.